Welcome all in the series of wonderful, thoughtful events on Thoughts on Education. Today we have with us Dr. Prasad. Dr. Prasad is principal with GMR Institute of Technology, Vizag. And Dr. Prasad has done MTech in Design and Production Machining Tool from REC Warangal. Sir has also holds the PhD from Andhra University, Vizag. Sir has more than 3 decades of experience into the education society and education industry. Sir has a publication in several national and international conferences and in general. Sir is also a fellow member of many social committees and education societies like IST, IEEE, and member of ASM. It's an honor for us, sir, to have you on board for this wonderful platform on Thoughts on Education. Welcome, sir.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for your a good note of my credentials. Thank you very much. And it's my great pleasure to be a part of this program.
Thank you, sir. So, sir, my first question is, you have held the key position at Education Institute throughout your professional career. What are the key factors that keep you connected with the education sector?
The reason for me being in the education sector almost for more than 3 decades is that I believe in that education sector is only the sector which can initiate and inspire any change for that matter at any part of the in any sector or in any community, I mean to say. So it can be in any area of specialization. So I believe that education sector is only the sector which will rather trigger the thought process. But ultimately, triggering the thought process is the first success for anything to happen.
Right, sir.
So if you make the people to think, I think you are half the way successful. Because whatever we propose or whatever we make the people to understand may or may not really happen. But yes, we will make them to have some thought process getting initiated in their mind, and definitely based on the one's individual's wisdom or your the connect to the community or connect to the business will definitely take them through their area further endeavors in compliance with that what is that we are talking about.
Great, sir. Great. Well,
so that is what actually.
That's a wonderful.
Fact, because many people don't enter into teaching with real passion. So this is the word most of the people say, because teaching is the last resort for the people to choose as a career, and that is how we are seeing in India.
Right.
Because this is not the first opted job for any professional. Because people enter into teaching by accident, for survival, or by force. And at the same time, some people also do enter into teaching with real passion.
Right.
The percentage of the people entering into the teaching with real passion, though it is very minimum, but having chosen teaching as a career, the attitude of a person plays a role. Initially, at the day one, probably I may not have that real passion towards teaching.
Mm-hmm.
But having accepted teaching as a profession for my livelihood or for the career option, we need to give the best what that the system is demanding, and that preparedness to give the best itself is a good contribution to the education sector, I should say.
I agree, sir. I mean, after all, it's a profession of a commitment and responsibility for the career.
Exactly.
So
initially may not be rather liking teaching, because an immediate student getting into teaching, no, because there will be always a repulsive force between and a person coming out of the college. Very few people will be having that ambition of getting back to the teaching.
Right, sir.
But having taken up the job, their attitude plays a vital role.
Yes. You need a passion and commitment for it.
Exactly. That's more important. And another one is your preparedness to come out of your comfort zone. To do whatever you want, it can be anything, but your mental preparedness to come out of your comfort zone and give your best possible things. Because coming out of the comfort zone itself is again a big problem. Nowadays, we don't find people that their preparedness to come out of the comfort zone.
Right, sir. So from this point only, my next question is, being the principal of GMR Institute of Technology, what is your philosophy of leadership? How would you describe your leadership style?
If you'll ask me, because this education sector is only the sector where we work with the people who are equally qualified.
Right.
Nobody is big or nobody is small. All are professors. And we need to have concurrence, and we need to have that inclusive involvement in taking anything that will happen.
Right.
So any initiative, whatever we take in the institution, first of all, we need to ensure that everybody buy it. And particularly in teaching, people will buy only if it is transparent. Transparency is that what I believe that which makes people to buy whatever you say. So ultimately, nothing is hiding and seeking. I believe that whatever that is good for the institution, I need to make people believe and make it open that anything, whatever we do here on the campus is for the institutional development. And another philosophy, what I believe is, as an individual, I have to grow. Without an individual growing, I cannot add to the growth of the institution. People say that I have added several things to the institution without adding value to yourself. That I don't believe in. Without you adding value to yourself, you can't add value to the institution.
Right.
So, self-growth, inclusive growth, and institutional growth comes in with that the belongingness and the ownership that we create. So it is not like top to bottom or bottom to top approach in normal corporates that we talk. That is not the case in education, because I told you, everybody is equally qualified. So if you want to get into teaching, you should be a doctorate. The only that age is that which makes you different. Probably the age, what you get is that your skills, your wisdom comes into that.
It's great to know, sir, that you're working with the thought that acceptance is the key for the change, and
exactly making people accept.
Yes, making people accept. It's great to know, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, being the principal of our GMR Institute of Technology, how do you strategize about the key program and the plan for marketing and administration of your school?
For any branding or marketing of any institution, I believe in that the stakeholders play a vital role.
Right, sir.
Here, and stakeholders do change from institution to institution.
Mm-hmm.
Ultimately, whom I'm targeting is that more important.
Exactly.
So we, being an affiliated engineering college, a private self-financed affiliated engineering college, so you know that GMR IT is founded by GMR Varalakshmi Foundation. Right. GMR Varalakshmi Foundation is the CSR arm of the GMR Group of Industries.
Mm-hmm.
And you know that this foundation does a lot of community-related works in all the locations across the country, from J&K to Kanyakumari, wherever the group has its presence in terms of business. Right. Maybe an airport, maybe a power plant, or maybe an SEZ or road project, or whatever it is. But we have this college located in a place called Rajam, which is 100 kilometers away from the Visakhapatnam, and it is located in Srikakulam district. Srikakulam district is the poorest of the poor districts in the country.
Oh.
And it so happens that Rajam is the birthplace of our chairman, Shri Dr. G.M. Rao. And that is the reason we have this institution here. And the spirit and philosophy of our foundation is to give back to the society.
Mm-hmm.
So giving back to the society is the philosophy on which the institution runs. So again, once you look at that, your strategy changes. Our strategy is not in growing vertically. We need to go laterally by giving back to the society, making all the stakeholders in and around involved, and giving the best of the technical education to the people in the region. That is a philosophy of starting this engineering college in Rajam, a small village in Srikakulam district. If a group like GMR thinks they can start engineering college anywhere across the country, right? So that is, but why the college is here in GMR, is there in Rajam, is to provide the best of the quality education to the people at affordable price in the region.
Oh, wow.
So that is the philosophy. And now when I say that, I think all the factors coming in, making the quality education at the reach of the people where 60% of the people are BPL, below poverty line. And more than 60% of the student, they don't pay the tuition fee. Government reimburses tuition fee. So that is a type of stakeholders we work with. So in that context, what is that we do is we try to create the best of the ecosystem that is needed to nurture and to groom the students so that they become a very good citizen to begin with, and a good employable candidate, so that any person can recruit him. That means a trainable material, I need to say. So that is a philosophy we work with, and based on that, the strategies differ. The strategy is not to ultimately building a brand for making all the students across the country to join, because we have our own limitations.
Mm-hmm.
We work under a state council for higher education, and under that, what is that we do is I cannot take the students pan-India by virtue of the constitution of the institution. So in that context, obviously, I need to work for the people in and around, and I do it. And the strategies are in that way. So we try to provide a highly enabled teaching learning environment and ecosystem, which makes every student to realize and ultimately ending up in their self-motivation to take up the task seriously and give their best, and finally end up in making themselves a highly a professional with employability skills.
Great, sir. It's a very great platform where the students are not only technically getting strong, but emotionally and culturally are also getting strong. So this is a great cause, and
with all the life skills that are needed.
Right, sir. Right. So, sir, my next question is: the education system in India and other foreign countries are structured very differently. In your experience, what can an inbound student gain from studying here in your institute?
Actually, that India is known for its ancient education, traditional education, right?
Right, sir.
But if you look at the comparison between the Indian education and the education that is there abroad, broadly, or to classify it, our education system is more of teacher-centric, not student-centric.
Okay.
If you look at the education available in outside country, it is more of student-centric.
Mm-hmm.
Student-centric in the sense, I'm not saying that which is good or bad. I'm just trying to compare the type of the education system we have. And our education system is teacher-centric and holistic in nature. Mm-hmm. Holistic in nature in the sense, a student coming out of graduation are expected to have some sort of set of all the skills that are available, so that he ends up like a trainable material, and when he gets into any industry, he can get customized. Right. That is the philosophy of Indian education. But the case in education abroad is something different. It is more of student-centric. It is only task-based learning. I need to learn this. I learn and I get into a job. That's it. Holistic sense of learning will be missing when you look at education abroad. I'm not saying it is good or bad. It is something like a piecemeal approach. Mm-hmm. A piecemeal approach is there. Whatever I want today, I need some skill. I learn and I survive. Tomorrow, I need some skill. I need that. I learn the skill, and then something like a do on a need base. But here in education system, whether you need or not, by the time you come off graduation, you learn several things. That is the reason sometimes students end up with disappointment, because they think when they come out of graduation, they learn a lot of things which are not used in the real practice. Sometimes they end up in a wrong conclusion. Even educationists also feel that we learn several things in education which is going to be used in industry. That is a wrong perception actually. An Indian education system builds the people in a holistic way for making them ready for customization. They are not made for one specific task. Students are not graduated to suit one industry. I'm not producing graduates for a manufacturing industry. I'm not producing graduates for a logistic company, or I'm not producing graduates for an IT company. I produce graduates where they are trainable materials so that the customization can happen based on the need. So that is the approach to my understanding as far as the Indian education system is concerned. But in the other countries, I think it is completely highly narrowed.
I agree, sir. They are very restricted to the particular domains.
Exactly. Highly narrow specializations. There is a reason Indian people are very good in analytics. Indian graduates can fit in anywhere. If you take the graduates outside, they can't fit in anywhere. That is a variation that we see. And gradually now in the globalization, and when you come up with the slogan of fittest to survive, when you say fittest to survive and catch up the things, low-hanging fruits, I need to have the skills what that industry is immediately asking for. Probably sometimes the system may not make a person to be successful immediately. If at all, let us say I'm having some special skills immediately after my graduation. An industry is not investing time on training now. Industry want people ready-made. They don't want to invest any time on training. They want people to be deployed on the day one when the onboarding is done. So how is it possible? Ultimately, technologies were never taught in the Indian context. They teach engineering and science. But technologies are those things which come on an ongoing basis, come and vanish. But now, people are expecting that the technologies are also to be integrated in the curriculum as add-on, as minors, so that they get easily absorbed. So these are all the changes that are coming in because of the non-availability of the time with the students and also with the industry. Industry want people to be readily deployed, and in 4 long years, everything on the earth is to be taught, which is no way, both are not possible.
Right, sir.
In 4-year graduation, I can't learn everything on the earth, right?
Well said, sir. A
So in that way, I think
graduate is more required rather than a particular domain or constrained to a particular domain.
In Indian system, will give a holistic education basically. And the people who comes out of Indian graduates, they can be customized to anything. They're all trainable material.
So my next question is, what do you think your roles and responsibility to the students and institutes are?
That is ultimately because as you say, my role, what I should say is nowadays students also, their preparedness to come out of the comfort zone is coming down because of the very unhealthy competition and rat race which they are getting into unknowingly. Starting from their class 10th. Now, you know, grade inflation is there, right? You know that.
Right.
Grade inflation is there. No, it doesn't make any sense. 10 on 10 doesn't make any sense. That is because of the grade inflation. What exactly is the ability of the student? They don't know. But I may be scoring 10 on 10. But at the end, obviously, what is my skill? People really do not know. For that, my role, I mostly spend time in making the students to do their introspection. Every student, at least when they come after +2, introspection need to be done. What are their skills? They need to discover themselves. Without discovering themselves before, at least at 10 and 10+2, they'll get lost in the race. Because nowadays, the very highly competitive world, if they don't catch up the things in the right time, in right place, they'll miss. And when they miss, regaining the position will be again a very difficult task. So I make them to understand the reality, and I will make them to do a lot of interest. Everybody, there is nothing like a good student or a bad student. All are good by default. It purely depends on the way how we recognize their strengths. Everybody will have strengths and weaknesses. Working on the strengths, living the weaknesses, and overcoming the weaknesses is the strategy that they need to play. Everybody has to do their SWOT analysis. SWOT analysis is a must for everybody. Everybody need to have identified, but leveraging their strengths in overcoming their weaknesses plays a vital role. We college need to enable them and create a platform on the campus here so that they leverage their strengths and finally overcome the weaknesses to survive. For that, we create a lot of avenues for the students to expel. So even though we say it is an engineering college, it is not that we learn only science and engineering. We make the people to excel in their own skills. Everybody has their own some hidden talent. We give a lot of importance to the liberal arts. We give a lot of interest to their own personal skill, your theater arts, music, whatever it is. Now I think if you look at the new education policy is completely getting aligned with this system. If a student is made happy in realizing his own hobbies, that happiness will make him to give 200 times better in what is in the profession. Hobbies are small things which will create happiness index, enhances the happiness index. If the happiness index of a person increases, that will increase the throughput. That is the reason nowadays most of the corporates create a lot of ambience to increase the happiness index. So that happiness index of a student is more important. So in that way, we work in enhancing the happiness of the index so that they will give their best in the time where they need to give. For example, they need to work for learn the technologies and learn the all the technical skills and all. So they put on their mind and soul only if they are really satisfied. If they are not satisfied in some of the small wish what they have, for example, they want to sing a song, they want to do they play something and enjoy. If I'm curtailing them and I'm just confined to one room and ask them to read, they'll get fed up. And finally, they end up in frustration. So to ensure that happiness comes in, we create an ecosystem for all-round development of a student. That will always make a system to succeed and sustain, because any program, whatever we introduce, will have natural death if it doesn't sustain. Any initiative for that matter. On the day one, it will be very good, but everything will have natural death if it doesn't sustain. So we need to work for sustainability. Sustainability is the mantra for any success for that matter.
Great, sir. It's great to know that GMR Institute of Technology is looking on the overall development of a student, not only on the technical front, but on the social front, on the cultural front, making them a strong individual to work into the society. Sir, my next question is, what do you think the top priority for the institute over next 10 years?
Top priorities towards next 10 years, I think, that now because of the rapid changes in the corporate requirement and in the stakeholders requirement, because now the industry has so become dynamic that the technologies are hardly 1 year old. They're getting faded out within a year. So obviously there are certain skills identified as 21st century skills. 21st century skills are those that are now every individual is looking at. So that building the ability to learn the 21st century skills, that is 21st century skills are more of generic in nature. That is like your critical thinking, multitasking, parallel processing. These are all the abilities. See, some are psychometric, some are cognitive. Earlier, we used to talk about only cognitive. So there are three domains, So psychometric domain is there, cognitive domain is there, affective domain is there for any person for learning abilities. So earlier we used to focus only on cognitive. So for these 21st century skills to get in, we need to work on psychometric as well as affective domain. So we need to have all the curriculum need to be redesigned so that the student is tested in all the three domains. If the student, when he's coming out of the institution, is tested apart from cognitive, if he's also tested for the psychometric and cognitive domain, definitely he'll be successful, irrespective of the situation. In that way, we are making it, and also as far as the new education policy is concerned, they are trying to bring in transdisciplinary programs. Earlier, we used to talk about specific skills, interdisciplinary. Now it is transdisciplinary. Now, when you say transdisciplinary, there is like a social sciences and engineering and medicine and law, everything will be put together.
Great,
so that is what approach we are looking at, and accordingly in line, we are trying to bring in the best practices that are there. So GMRIT believes in that we adapt the best practices which are there across the globe. We go study the things and take up the best practices that are there, and we ultimately start implementing the best practices to ensure this happen, so that we don't miss the pace.
Well said, sir. Cognitive and psychoetically strong candidates are the need of our for the industries. Sir, my next question: what are some of the biggest challenges you see both for the higher education in general and for GMR Institute of Technology specifically?
Particularly for higher education, the challenge is, I told you, one point, the type of the plus 2 education what that right now is there is making the higher education to face the challenges. People are getting into rat race, and people are not really choosing the profession. They are getting by chance. So they are getting into higher education by chance, not by choice.
And by family push and by the
peer pressure, over and above peer pressure.
Yeah.
Peer pressure, family pressure, all these things coming. So now I'm sure that down the line in next 5 to 6 years, in higher education, I think there is a U-turn happening as far as the engineering education is concerned. People are realizing that engineering is one among several avenues which are available, and which are other avenues are not really tapped. If you talk now, earlier, if you take last 3-4 years, if you pick up a person in a lot, you want to do either medicine or engineering, that's it. You don't find anything beyond this. Why? Because the ecosystem that is in and around created is almost making them to do like that. But now, thanks to the technology and where at a click of a button, everything is made available to the students right from their school ages. So students are exploring, and there are much more to explore for the students. I'm sure that this challenging of going for higher education by chance will definitely move to a domain of taking the higher education by choice, because that makes a very, very huge impact for the educations to train the people. If somebody is coming by chance, you can't train in a better way. If the person is coming by choice, training a person in the needy area is always easy. And the other one is anything that is whatever you get without knowing the value of it, it will not realize. That is, something is given at free of cost.
Right, sir.
Higher education, subsidizing the higher education and higher education at zero cost. There are a lot of populistic schemes where the higher education is made available at free of cost. Yes, the real spirit of that is to make this available to the needy people. Yes, sometimes every system will have some sort of pilferages. So obviously, when it goes to those people who are not really in need, obviously, always one bad apple in a basket will always create a disturbance. So there, another challenge that is coming is to isolate those bad apples. That is a challenge.
Well said, sir. Sir, what would you like people to know about your institute? They might know, do not have information from website.
I'll try to just narrate on our vision of the institution. Our vision of the institution is to be among the most preferred institution, providing the best of the technical education. The reason is, I told you guys, the spirit of having this education here in Rajam is to provide and make it available at an affordable cost, the high technical education, high quality technical education. So in that context, what is it is we want to be among the preferred institution in the region. Yes, and not only in the region, we want to widen up, because within the limitations, I need to say, I can take the pan-India students, but very limited. So whatever it is possible within the framework where the institution is working. We want to be known at the country level. We are known in the region. We are known in the state, and we want to be known in the country.
Great.
And I am sure that we'll definitely reach that. And we all have the strong support of our founding group that also will help us in getting and achieving the thing.
Well said, sir. So my last question is, any more suggestion you would like to give to the current youth and upcoming aspirants into technical courses?
Technical courses, now I told you, one point is, apart from technical courses, 21st century skills are needed. People should take away that one aspect in the mind is that out of syllabus. There is nothing out of syllabus. When some question is asked, immediately people will say this is out of syllabus. So there is nothing like out of syllabus. That should be gone out from the mind of the student. And parallel processing and multitasking is one skill that they need to do. And another one is give best. Don't ever have sympathy on yourself. As a student, don't sympathize yourself. If you start sympathizing yourself, you will not come out of your comfort zone. The world is VUCA world, you know that, highly VUCA world. In the VUCA world, if you are not prepared to come out of the comfort zone and give your best, you will not be in the race. So always try, the student should be on the toes, giving their best, catch up the low-hanging fruits, and then work for your passion and ambitions. Because catching up with the low-hanging fruits will make a person to survive. Survival is the first person has to achieve. Once you survive, you can achieve your ambitions. Because some people, they don't take these current survival into account. What they do is, unknowingly, they work for passion, and sometimes they don't even exist for they struggle for survival. When they're struggling for survivalence, obviously a lot of compromises happens. When they get into compromise, they are lost. And another suggestion what I give to the young child is, one has to accept. Any challenge, whatever you have, any problem, whatever they have, there are two ways to get a solution. Either you resolve or dissolve. What is it you're doing? You should be conscious of doing it. Are you resolving or are you dissolving it? If you're resolving is only a temporary solution. We don't really accept it. But we compromise. Accepting and compromise is that ultimately makes up in ending up whether you dissolve or resolve. If you compromise, you resolve the issue. If you accept, you dissolve the issue. If you dissolve, it will never pop up again in the life. If you resolve, there will be a day it will pop up again. So keep this in mind, and the students, I'm sure that if they understand the real spirit of this, they'll be successful and they'll reach their maximum heights in their life.
Great, sir. It was a great in-depth insight about the college, and in specific, in general, what a student should be focused upon while selecting a college. And the way...
One more point is excitement. Excitement, no? If the students are not excited of doing the things, they miss a lot. How small or how big, they should do with that excitement. Excitement comes with owning it. Excitement comes with ownership.
Right.
That is a case even for teachers, I mean to say. The teachers who are teaching in the class, they should have that excitement. Without the teacher getting excited, they can't make the students excited. So they should give finally a wow feeling at the end. If you don't give that wow feeling at the end, obviously they'll like a mill run things.
Great, sir. It was a great in-depth insight from you about GMR Institute of Technology, and in general what students should focus upon while selecting a college. And of course, a very well noted point, acceptance for the new technology, acceptance for all the knowledge domains. Not one should be restricted to a particular domain. And this is the only
Specifically, I have
way
not
and
spoken and spelled out any technologies because people will get carried.
exactly.
If I tell one subject name, technology name, people will get. I don't want to. I intentionally didn't do that. If I just for your reference, I'm telling you, artificial intelligence is an age-old technology. It is nothing new. It is there for the last 3 decades or more than 3 decades. Why it has popped up? Because high-speed computing missions have come.
Right.
Because of these high-speed computing missions coming in, artificial intelligence has gained its prominence. Because at a click of a button, you can make a decision. Any highly complex algorithms, you can get iterations and get a solution at the click of a button. When once this invention of the high-speed computing missions came in, it is giving solution. When once you are getting solution, application range will increase. So AI is across. So AI has got no branch specific. AI, artificial intelligence is as generic as human intelligence.
Right, sir. It was a in-depth great insight. Thank you so much, sir, for coming on this wonderful platform and sharing
Thank you.
more insight. It was a very great key learning for all the student and all the viewers. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And it's my pleasure to share my thoughts and views with you. Thank you very much. Bye.